So it looks like the real estate party might be coming to an end. And I'm going to share with you 4 stats that you're seeing here that show exactly that. So let's get into the stats. And by the way, I will focus on prices at the end. So stick around till the end to see how prices are doing. So stat number 1 I want to look at is number of sales. So what I did was, as usual, I'm going to be focusing on the big 5 regions like Halton, Peel, Toronto, York, and Durham. And I pulled up all the sales that happened in the month of April and in the month of May. May has been the busiest month we've had this year. And I'm going to compare it to what has happened so far in the month of June. So you can see here, like, we are only up until June 24th. So I do realize there's 1 more week left to go. So this number will obviously go up. But as of right now, June is far behind. It is far behind what was happening in the month of May. So I'm thinking, like, even if you were to add, let's say 25-30% to these numbers, I don't think we're going to catch up to the month of May. Now, I could be 100% wrong, because the next week has not happened yet. So we don't know what the numbers will be. But if things keep going the way they are, I think we're not going to be coming close to May. Some might not even come close to April. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But as of right now, if the stat stays the way it is, it looks like the market is slowing down. Stat number 2 I'm going to look at. By the way, if you want to know what your house is worth without any sales pressure or sales bias, you can click on the link in the description below and I'll get back to you with that. Now, another thing I want to look at is how long things are sitting on the market for. What I did was I checked like how many listings are available currently on the Toronto MLS right there. So this is all the active listings right now in the big 5 regions. And then I checked how many of them have been on the market for longer than 3 weeks. I picked 3 weeks because when I picked 2 weeks, there was lots. Like, it was almost like 60-70%. So I said, you know what, let me try 3 weeks. Even at 3 weeks, there are a lot of listings that have been sitting on the market. Halton, for example, total number of listings on the Toronto MLS is 1441, and out of those, 628 of them have been on the market for longer than 3 weeks. That would account for 44% of all the listings. Toronto is at the highest, it's at 47%. Peel is at 41% of the listings that are sitting on the market for longer than 3 weeks. So that's another sign that the market is starting to slow down, because this number would have been very, very low if we checked April and May. So stat number 3 I want to look at is price changes. Now, I will be completely honest with you. I cheated a little bit on this one because this chart is from yesterday. So these numbers are from yesterday. They're not from today. Because I made another video on price changes alone yesterday. So I'm using the same numbers just out of laziness. That's all it is. There's no other reason. So as of yesterday, this is how many listings are available. Same thing on the same 5 regions. And out of those listings, this is how many of them have had to drop their price because they were not getting the price they wanted. And if we look at the percentage between them, it's 18% of listings with a price change in Halton. In Toronto is 16%. York is at 17%. So they're right around 13 to 18%, all of them, which is another sign that the market is slowing down, because when the market's busy, there's no reason to do a price drop. So that's why I put that in there. Stat number 4 I want to show is new listings. By the way, if I can just throw my opinion in here while you guys are reading this chart. These stats show the market is slowing down, but please don't consider this as a market crash, because I do realize that some people are just hoping for a crash so they can get like a bargain. They can get $1 million house for $600,000. This is not the market for it. Whether that happens ever, or maybe 6 months, I have no idea. Nobody can tell what's going to happen in the future, but this is not the market for that. So I would not be like throwing out lowball offers. I mean, you can do it, it's your money. You can do whatever you want, but chances are slim that you are going to get like $400,000 off a listing. So sellers do not need to worry. Sellers are still in control, but it is a sign of things changing. So sellers, I would be kind of cautious. I would pay attention to these stats to see which way the market's going, because these stats change before the prices. So prices are usually the last thing to drop. usually you start noticing these kinds of stats pop up before the price gets affected. So something to keep in mind. Now let's look at new listings. New listings as of June 24th, we are pretty close to what was happening in the month of May, which is good news if you are a buyer. If you're a seller, obviously it's not good news, but it is definitely higher than in the month of April. By the end of the month, we're probably going to be close to May. It might be even higher for some cities. It might be a little bit lower for some, but that is also good news if you're a buyer. That means, you don't have to go crazy when you're doing multiple offers. Multiple offers are still going to happen, but I expect that it's not going to be as crazy as March, April, and May. Now let's look at prices. This is what I was saying, that if you're a seller, you don't really need to panic, because the number one thing sellers care about is price, right? It's ideally you want to sell as quick as possible too, right? But obviously the number one thing is price. So prices have not changed too much. If you see what is happening up until the end of June, June 24th, the only city that has seen a significant drop is Vaughan. It's almost a $100,000 drop, but these are average prices, so they do fluctuate a lot. I would not be surprised if this number climbs back up by the end of the month. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But every other city is like within $10,000, $20,000. So sellers do not need to worry. But I think if you look at these four stats, if you are a seller, I think it's a sign of things to come. Because if you're starting to see things taking longer to sell, you're starting to see more price drops because things are not selling, and you're starting to see more inventory pop up, and you start to see less sales happening, like fewer sales happening, that usually means that the market is going the wrong way if you're a seller. If you're a buyer, it's great news, right? So let me know in the comments down below, do you think this market will continue to drop, or it will peak back up, in a month or so? We'll see what happens. I'll see you next time. Thanks.